Hey guys, what's up? We're back.
I was literally about to do my all right. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I took it.
You didn't know you didn't
We're
take
good.
it. No,
I like this. I like the surprise every now and then.
every now and then. No, that is perfectly
I
fine.
just come up with some energy that a little bit different.
Gotcha.
I'm one of your hosts. I'm Blair.
And I'm the other host. I'm Enoch.
We are glad that you're joining us again today. As always, we encourage you to tap that like button, share us to everyone you know, everyone. And then let's see, what else can we do? You can comment. Commenting is a thing, so you can comment on us. We appreciate comments.
Yes, you can rate us. You can just, honestly, I think the biggest thing they can do is whatever topic that we're discussing, try to see how you can and cannot apply it to your life and your surroundings.
Like it.
Because that's really why we do this.
Yes, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Even if you don't give us a like, even if you don't comment or share, if you do that, then we appreciate it. Because that's the entire point of us being here and talking to you guys.
But Peggy said give a like, so just let you know that.
You gotta listen to Peggy. Okay, that's how it is.
Yes. All right. Back for season 2.
Yeah.
Round two. Who would have thought that we would actually have like 2 seasons of this?
All right.
Who would have thought we're like in the mid-30s of episodes?
Yeah. We're like a year.
We've learned a lot.
Oh yes.
A lot. Oh man.
So much.
Yeah. The fact that we even have like a podcast manager now, it's like a whole thing. The behind the scenes that no one saw. Like we're not even going to talk about it, but it was an adventure.
Know that it was work.
It was.
And adventure at the same time.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. But it was fun. All fun and games.
Always.
So I don't know. What kind of episode do you think today is going to be?
I think today's more of a field of study, actually.
Honestly, I think we could push it and make it a confirmation bias.
We could push it. We could. Depends on. We can decide at the end what it is.
Okay. Because I think it has its controversial topics.
Oh yes.
Definitely. So we'll let the podcast decide.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
What's the actual topic?
So today we are talking about socialization. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know. Like to some, it's not socialism, is it? Is it socialism?
It's not socialism, but it's actually when you described it with your definition versus my definition. Even though it was like a Venn diagram and they were more so in the middle, but
that's what always happens.
Exactly. But we were definitely on the outer skirts of that middle. So how would you define socialization?
Okay, so socialization for me it's similar to indoctrination, if anyone knows what that means. So specifically, indoctrination is like when you're a child or like don't quite have your thinking processes in place as like a fully functional person, adult. It's very easy for the people that you trust or for just kind of your environment to kind of instill beliefs in you without you really vetting them to see if it's actually what you believe. I think a lot of times later in life we start to like actually have our thought processes and we start to really be able to think more for ourselves. And at that time, sometimes you kind of think back on like some of the beliefs that you've held for quite a long time, and you're like, you know what? I don't know if this is actually true. And you introspect and you try to find your own contradictions and you try to ideally settle those and you actually try to find the truth for yourself. Socialization is pretty related to that in that it's, in my viewpoint, a very large component of socialization is how the media, music, movies, how it kind of instills beliefs in you without you necessarily really realizing it. It goes so deep that it's on an unconscious level. You don't even know that you actually have these beliefs. And that's actually what makes it so pervasive and also very dangerous if it's not a belief that you want to have or not a belief that's conducive to you being happy or to you helping the people in your tribe be happy. So that's why we think it's actually a pretty important topic to talk about today.
See, so looking at like I said, I agree with that 100%. Your entire definition.
Because I'm right.
I mean, it's not our definitions are really the same. I guess it's just yours have different layers in mine. Because when you're saying environment, I think people a lot of times think of external things. So you're thinking, like you said, you're saying the media, which the media is a 24/7, influence on us.
Yes.
But the thing I'm thinking about was inner. So thinking family, thinking like your friends, that subgroup of influence that everyone has in their lives. So meaning that like when you think media, you think something so impersonal, something that like doesn't affect you on a personal level. But then when you think about like your family, your parents, for the most part, until you become like a grown up, they're always correct. They're like they have wisdom.
Yes.
You think about your closest friends, your best friends, they have wisdom. It's a personal level. You don't think they would steer you in the wrong way. So I think that inner that type of like nurture versus nature type of argument, like I think that's a very important thing, because what ends up happening is when you have that type of inner influence, it affects you in a way that, how do I want to put this? It affects you in a way that you don't see that someone's trying to force you to think that way. So like if I go watch Fox News, or I watch, MSNBC, or I watch CNN,
right,
I realize that they have a certain viewpoint. Even if
so you have a little bit of a defense.
It's a little bit of a defense that, like, right now, if I go watch, I'm like, okay, you're leaning Republican, or if I go watch this, you're leaning Democrat. So I kind of know a little bit.
Yeah.
But then if I go talk to you, though, I'm just thinking you're my friend, you're my heartstring, this. So I'm not thinking that like you have any, but you still have that same influence, something that's by your outer influential spectrum. So now it's like, but you're a lot more dangerous to me, because now I'm thinking it's coming from a place of love, but it's not coming from a place of love, but it's like it's coming from a place of affected love, like that your influences, you're trying to put them on me to help me, but actually those influences have been put on you to control you. So then
I'm therefore giving that to you at that point.
So
we're both
control.
being controlled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's same thing, just two different layers to everything.
It's interesting because the reason that we're talking about this topic is because I was actually talking with Enoch's brother Sherman. He was doing a shoot, and we were kind of entertaining ourselves because we talk about geeky things. So I don't exactly remember quite how it started, but I remember where my brain jumped to, and that was a psychological study. I don't remember when I read about this or when it was actually done, but there's a psychological study that we tend to trust people in suits and ties more than we would trust somebody, say, in what I'm wearing currently. And I mean, that makes some sense. If someone is wearing a suit and tie, they probably have gone to college, maybe more likely to.
Yeah, they probably it's a status thing.
Yes, status. They probably have a position in which they are required to wear this, and
it's an admired position because we admire people like that.
Yes, exactly, and it's a position of importance of some kind if you're wearing that suit. Versus me, I'm not really important at all. I'm just kind of.
But now the opposite. But the opposite effect of that is that like we want to consider crime. And when we think of crime, we think of the guy robbing the convenience store. The convenience store might have $500 in it. Whereas $500 to certain people, it is relativity. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, how much money just is generated, you have corporations who have stolen billions, like of hard-working taxpayer dollars. You have politicians who just literally go spend out billions just because they want to.
Yep.
So those are the suit and tie crimes versus the sweatpants crimes. Are two completely different playing fields. But we only want to knock the sweatpants crimes.
Yes.
Even though I wear sweatpants all the time.
I know.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the only thing that we want to consider as crime. And so it's like that's why children are more respected or not even children, just everyone were indoctrinated to respect somebody. We think, okay, you see the president of the United States, they always are in suits. Right. They don't allow them to wear anything other than suits. So automatically that's the figurehead of the country. So that's going to be our most respected figure. Right.
And to a degree, that in itself is socialization. Or at least that's actually what I am moving to argue that this psychological study is revealing. Because my point was when I was having this discussion earlier today is so adults, they have this. The study was done on adults, right? And so adults tend to trust people that have a suit and tie or a uniform over people who do not, or are dressed like us, or in sweatpants or whatnot. And my ponderance was, well, what if this was actually done on a child who hasn't like had years or decades of socialization of like, these are the people to be trusted, these are the people to not be trusted as much. And that's all relative. It's actually not saying do not trust this person. It's saying trust this person more than this person, trust this person less than this person. So they're relative to each other. But I was wondering, a child has gone through less socialization. Not saying that there's no socialization there, but they've gone through
have
less.
decades of it.
Exactly. And so I wonder if they would trust them equally, or if it would still be like the same difference, or maybe less difference.
Well, you have to think about it though. As a child, I don't know, like police officers and all these different people in uniforms were brought in, and they were told like, okay, we need to respect the police officer. I'm not saying shouldn't respect police officers, but like again, you were told that. No one told us they didn't bring in, and anytime you brought in professionals to talk to us, what did they wear? Like at bare minimum, the I don't want to say lowest, but like the most comfortable they got to be was in the khakis and a button down. And so it's like you're taught that this certain kind of style of people who talked about, like if Russell Simmons, who is multimillionaire, he always wore, sweatpants.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg, before like these last like 5 years, used to always wear hoodies.
Yeah, the more money you make, the less suit and tie you get.
But see, I think I personally, like I said, no matter however much money I accumulate, I mean, I do like to wear suits from time to time. But like, I would not be a suit and tie person. Like, if I ever ran for president, became a president, I would walk out on that stage. If I'm stressed and stuff like that, I'm gonna walk out in my sweatpants.
Okay, don't go naked. That's
not naked. I mean, naked, but but I would walk out like this because I feel like again that makes you relatable to everyone. Like I said, you don't go to sleep in a suit and tie. You don't always wear a suit and tie. It's like, yo.
In fact, I have fallen asleep with suits and ties. It's usually because I'm too tired to take them off at that point, though.
But it probably was not the most comfortable sleep because then if you have the tie, especially you probably took the tie off.
Yeah,
because the tie is like, oh, I hate wearing a tie. It's just like it feels like I gotta like sit like this. It feels like someone's like pulling it on the other side.
In fact, I think that we should make a move to go away from ties, just because. Actually, two reasons. One, there's a ton of bacteria on ties, like all the time. Bacteria, viruses, you accumulate them, and then especially for like doctors, if I'm hanging. No,
so you're saying COVID was transferred to ties?
Yes, ties are the problem. I moved to remove all ties from society. That's my component, my contribution to socialization tonight. Anyways, so like if you're hanging over somebody, you're potentially passing a bacteria onto them that you just like picked up 3 hours ago when your tie accidentally touched the doorknob of whatever bathroom you were in. The second reason is the tie, like around your carotids, actually cuts blood flow to your brain by about 30%. I didn't know any of that. That's not connected with any long-term outcome, so I can't tell you if there's any increase of stroke or death or whatever, but I'd rather have all of my blood flow to the brain. I can't. That's all I'm saying. So remove ties from society. That's my contribution to society.
I think a nice sweater looks so much better than ties.
Yeah, I've seen you in sweaters. You can pull a good sweater off. Yeah.
I like sweaters.
Yeah.
So even just so like really thinking about like socialization, thinking about just really thinking about it. Like what would you say is something that, because obviously we're men now, we've established ourselves in our careers and the things that we want to go after. What is something that you would say? What's the influence that you had as a child that you had to like shake?
Okay, so you mentioning that actually kind of points my mind in the direction of the socialization of women and men, because that's actually is something I've thought about for quite a while. And if you're asking about me, then I'm thinking of it in terms of men. But for socialization in terms of women, I think it's a lot about moving towards a concept of universal beauty right? And it also kind of it doesn't reinforce, it actually enforces values of like beauty over things like intelligence, or over things like making money or being successful in any other way. It actually teaches us to value beauty over those things for women. And I think you see that in a lot of the magazines, where you have this like concept of beauty. And our teenage girls and our very actually young girls start to be socialized early. And well, you need to do this so that you can look pretty, you need to do this, and actually that's trying to train you to be a woman and whatnot.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I think for socialization of men, I think personally, I think that we have a lot of socialization on size. I think that the larger you are as a man, typically the more important you are, is something that is a belief that society like instills in us. In fact, so like for every inch taller than a man is, I think it's just men. I don't know about women. You can fact check me. But for every inch taller that a man is, they tend to earn like $4,000 more dollars. Can't remember if that's like per month or per year, but there's literally like an unconscious direction of society for people that are taller than others, right? So I mean that really tells you that it changes other people's perception, and not even in a way that they actually realize. So to me, that is socialization at its best. And then another concept is in terms of race. So, and I think that we've kind of mentioned this before on this podcast, but like black baby dolls, right? Versus white baby dolls. There's this concept that the white baby doll is what's more beautiful or has more worth. And that's even seen in that the black baby dolls are typically cheaper to buy. They cost less than the white baby dolls. And we are actually socializing our children that early. At the age that you're getting a baby doll for your child, you're actually like starting this process of socialization of like, this is higher valued than this one. So that's my like long answer for that.
Well, okay, let me see. I'm trying to recount everything you said, because I was getting several thoughts. When you were talking about women and socialization of beauty standards, I thought that was very important, because this is going to be a little bit more controversial.
Okay.
But so this young lady I was speaking with yesterday, she was on Instagram, and she was looking at somebody who was a part of a transgender community.
Okay.
A transgender woman in particular. And she was like, man, like they got her looking just like a woman now and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And I said, my counter argument was that I was like, well, yes, because there's been a shift in the way we consider beauty over the last 15 years. So I said that now, and nothing wrong with anybody who's gotten plastic surgery or anything like that, but like now we are more heavily plastic surgery as a culture than we've ever been before. Like they said, like during this pandemic, like plastic surgery has like risen, because you have to think about like you got plastic surgery, like regular people couldn't necessarily get plastic surgery and be hidden beforehand, because like you're out like 4 to 8 weeks. Like
yes.
But now it's like, oh,
yes.
we were all virtual, so you can go, get some stuff done, come back, and be like, oh man, well, dang. Miss Lewis is like, she's a little bit something different about her. I can't really quite put my...
Yeah, I started putting lotion on.
Yeah, exactly. I've been more so. I started a new facial routine. It's like, no, you went to the doctor, you got something done. But
yes.
But people don't know, because I haven't seen you in that long. Like, I've been working out, so I got snatched, and somebody procedurally snatched you. Like, that's what happened. But it's like, so the thing about that...
Snatched you into the OR.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
Think about it. If you're getting, your lips a certain type of way, your nose a certain type of way, your body a certain type of way.
Right.
Like, you're making it that. So if someone also, like, those doctors don't say necessarily no to clients. So it's like, what's happening is that over 10 years of us seeing this, and now are changing beauty to being like this type of woman who's being built through procedures is now what's most beautiful. Number one is making other girls who don't have that body in a natural sense consider that to be beautiful. So it's pressuring them into having bodies like that, which is so, to me, wrong for our girls, because we should have a sense of loving ourselves. They say if you want to get that, like that, fine. I'm not saying against that, but now we're pressuring that, and that's another sense of beauty. And I think that's another thing that's being unfairly put upon women, because I don't have that likeness. So I'm not like having I have to go like get procedures done to me to make myself more beautiful. But women are now like, I got to compete with somebody who has butt injections and breast implants and this and that. And they feel like it's a competition, and really no.
So why do you think that is? So I know from my standpoint, I think that society wants us to have insecurities, right?
It's profitable.
It's profitable.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I guess it's really not beneficial for us to be happy then for them.
I mean, no, think about it. I mean, if everyone in society is healthy, what's really the point of having doctors? If no one's committing crimes and everything's fine, what's the point of lawyers? If, like you said, like a lot of our jobs are built upon us having problems. Not saying that every doctor wants people to be sick or every lawyer wants there to be crime. It's just the fact of the matter is that lawyers right now is a booming business because we have so much crime in America.
Right.
If we actually lowered the crime rate, lawyers would get laid off. Also, you know who else would get laid off? Police officers. So that you have less police officers, less jobs. So places that like have lower crime rates have less police officers. So it's one of those things about like, what a society needs and what you want, and you want people always to have jobs. Right now, we have infrastructure. We have a lot of infrastructure jobs because our infrastructure sucks right now. We need to hire more people. So kind of just like retelling back to that, what I was saying a little bit before, is just we've changed so much of our standards of beauty that we've changed how we see beauty. And so like now everyone can change themselves to be like that. So it's not necessarily that you're looking more like a natural woman. You're looking now like the beauty of what a woman is currently seen as in society today.
Right.
So it's a little bit different.
It's actually really interesting to me because like back in the 1600s, what was the concept of beauty for a woman? It was actually like obesity.
Yeah, because that showed wealth.
Exactly. There was actually like a famous painting of like.
And she was considered like super. She's like, it's like this overweight woman type of thing, and she was like frolicking, and they were like consider her super beautiful.
Yeah.
Because again, that was what our concept of beauty was.
Right.
It was a whole.
And it's literally socialization that has taken us from that point to where we are now, with whatever lips you need to have, whatever nose you need to have, whatever boobs or butt or face.
I mean, yeah, it's even think about like the Hottentot Venus. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hottentot Venus, but pretty much it was this woman. She had a very large posterior, big butt, and they paraded her around Europe. And it's like almost like a circus thing, and like the men went gaga over her. And, I'm pretty sure prostitutes and all that kind of stuff. And then like this was right before the Victorian era. And so then next you start seeing the next era, they start having these women with like those dresses that have, and it makes them look like it. So, and these women are literally sucking in, and like they were saying a whole bunch of like health effects were happening to them.
You have the corset that's like literally like constricting your breathing.
But it was making them look like that Hottentot Venus type of style. So it's like so much has been put upon women that's unfair to them. And I'm just like, I'm one of those people who's like, if you want to get it, let it be your decision. Be happy with it. If you don't want, I don't want that, again, that socialization, that social pressure that I'm not pretty if I don't have this, or because this other woman has this and I don't have it now, I can't be happy.
Right.
Like I want to live in a world where both Beyonce and Kim Kardashian can be beautiful.
Yes.
And there's no competition between either one of them.
Right. And again, my point in that is that before you go off and have this procedure done or whatever, because there's nothing wrong inherently with having that procedure done. If that's truly like what you want and your intentions are in the right place, I think that's perfectly fine. But I think that you have to examine your intentions and make sure that it's like your like the true essence of yourself that actually wants that, and not what society and everybody around you has been telling you is how you would look better or whatever concept of beauty. Because no matter what you look like, you have beauty within you, and other people should be seeing that. If they can't, then it's their issue. It's not yours. So do not change yourself so that other people will see you as beautiful. Is
now, with all that being said, I will say that the root sense of the problem of all of that, especially upon women, just kind of boiling down as men. So it's like we as men are changing up. So like again, Hottentot Venus, I said, the men were parading her around.
Right.
And so because of that's what they wanted to see, then women were like, well, my husband or my boyfriend or these men who, I want them to want me the way they want her. So then they're changing up the way they look, and their entire style is changing up because they're trying to please these men. So I think a lot of our society is like, and I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of the pressure is that I want to look beautiful because this is what I think men want. And it's like, it's like you say, if it's what you want, that's what you want. But like, I don't want you to go out and get a procedure because you feel like it's going to make you more beautiful to men. I don't want you to get it because you're going to make you more beautiful to society. I don't want society to uphold you higher because you think this is a procedure that's going to make them uphold you higher.
Right.
Like your value is so much bigger than your physicality because at the end of the day, physicality can be gone immediately. Like immediately.
Yeah,
like,
if you have that procedure, then you go home and get your face burnt off.
Yeah, that article I had said. There's this one beautiful article that I had sent to Blair one time, and it's this guy, he married a beauty queen. So she had won like Miss Arizona, Miss US, something. She had won big top beauty honors. And like she ended up getting in a terrible fire, and like all of her skin is now like just burnt. Like it's just, she looks completely different.
Yes.
No less beautiful, but completely different. The way we've been, societally influenced, you would say that it is not as attractive.
Right.
But then the husband, after that, he's been married to her like 10 years. And but he was married to her when she was a beauty queen. And the interviewer asked him something like, well, how does it feel to be married to her before when she was a beauty queen versus now? And he said, she's more beautiful than me now than she's ever been.
Right.
And like that shows you the power of like love and things about when you're not just influenced by society.
Yes.
Is that you see what's really of value.
Yes. By the way, find that in a relationship, right? I know there's no way to necessarily know that you have that until after shitty stuff happens, but find that because that's actually the value that each of us deserves in a relationship. That's what we need. Yeah.
So I think originally I asked you, what in your life have you had to overcome in terms of socialization?
I mean, I kind of told you though. So for men, I think it's size, and so
not for men. For Blair, what?
Well, I mean, that's something I had to overcome. So that's what I'm saying. I will. So okay. At Tech, right? I got kind of a little jacked, like a little bit.
Like, they called you Popeye for a reason.
They called me Popeye. Yeah, I had really good biceps. I never had that much of a chest. It was like a little. It was defined, but it wasn't like huge or anything. But I was fit. I was in shape. And then when I was in Grenada, I hurt my knee. And it became something that I could not do anymore. I could not fortify my body. I could not actually continue like gaining strength. And I think both size and physical might are something that men are defined by. Even like just for probably size more so is probably more recent. Might has been around for probably a while. But neither one of those were something that I could attain anymore. And I had to actually I had to start really looking at myself and redefining my value to myself. And I think that was like one of the times when you really start to see how like society moves you in directions without you necessarily noticing it. And I think that we actually probably all need those times where we're at a point in a situation where we actually can't meet society's definition for whether it's beauty or competence or success or size. And it really allows you to find actually what's important to you, right? And then you can actually find what's important to you and go for it. And that's actually what makes you strong or beautiful or successful. It's never what society tells you. It's about finding it for yourself and getting it. So that's what I would say. That's what I overcame. And I mean, I'm at a point now where my knee is a good bit better, so I'm able to like work out a little bit. And that doesn't mean though that I'm like going back to what society said. That means that I actually have fun working out, right? There's something about stress relief, right? Like we all get stressed out, and I think that working out is a great way to kind of like help burn off some of that stress. And I also like literally just like the process of moving my muscles. Like I feel better. And so I think that you have to be cognizant of what society is telling you, but you have to find your own reasons for doing what you're doing. For anything that you do, anything that you are pursuing, you have your own purpose for. So that's what I found in that process. What about you?
Like I said, I mean, mine can be. I have two big examples. I would say, one I kind of feel you on the size thing. I mean, like at the end of the day, you're what 5'10".
Yeah.
So size for you is like that's actually what's that 2 inches above average height?
I think it is average.
Is it okay? So you're actually average height. So for me, I'm 5'4", 5'3", 5'2". I have all different documents.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere in that range. So the thing about like say being a short guy, like that's like I don't think any woman has ever started off her list with saying I want a short man. Like so that was something that like I had to like battle, like especially like I mean, middle school it wasn't as bad because it was like I mean I consider myself a very attractive man. Like I don't have any problem in terms of like that sense. Like I think I was very blessed.
What do you think, Peggy?
Okay.
Hey!
That's a yes for me.
That was kind of a wink there. That was
exactly.
Good. Right.
But it's just like so then when you start getting to high school and you start seeing like all my friends we were the same height, and then they're shooting up and it's like, all right. So then it becomes like, well, dang, like let me start like going towards external factors. Like let me start praying about this. Let me start all this like I want this. Like I'm feeling so less than inadequate about myself.
Right.
And then it became like in high school and college and stuff. I felt like I was going like as soon as I approached a woman, it was strike one already was against me before I can even open my mouth. You don't get to see my intelligence. You don't get to see how funny I am. You don't get to see how nice I am. You don't get to see how amazing I am because literally before I got there, you've already just in everything you need to know. Like, nope, he didn't have the first thing on my list,
right?
Which is the height for the most women, and so like that's something I had to battle. How I actually got over it was Prince. Okay. Prince was like 5'1", wore heels and assless chaps. And literally my mom's generation, the generation that came after my mom, and the generation after that, all in love with this man. Like, so to me, it was like one of those things that like, okay, so why can't I have Prince energy? Why can't I be like him in terms of like, you got to be, not saying I'm going to wear heels and assless chaps, but I got to have the confidence to be able to, but I have to have the confidence in order to be like, to be who I am and just be proud of that. Like, this is who I am. And that's going to make everything, it's going to make, even though I might not have that first thing on your list, but whoever has a complete list, none of us fulfill like anybody else's complete list. So it's just like, I can take that off your list because you just see it's a whole different vibe when you rock with me. So it's like, I would say that's one of the big things I had to overcome. Another one was religion. Like, that's why I said this
like a lot.
This is a confirmation bias. We definitely need to have another episode just on religion in itself.
Yes.
But you grow up in the South, like
Bible
Belt, and like I don't mean this as a negative thing, but the true statement of saying Jesus is King, it means literally that like, yes, anything, even country, even like a little bit. Like even we are so deep in this in the South that like we can take one verse, and even if you have a slight deviation of that one verse in a 2,000-page book and stuff like that, we are going off. Like, and it is a controlling thing. Like so much more than stuff. Like you go to out west or up north, this doesn't play nearly, or at least in America, it doesn't play nearly as big of an influence. But religion is very much so controlling because like people have taken this one book and really have held it over people's heads. Mm-hmm. And then as you get, so then it's, my parents were this, their grandparents were this, their great grandparents were this. So it's like you get to a point where you're 2 years old and you're in church every single Sunday. And if you really one of those families where you in church every single Sunday, you got Wednesday prayer session, you got Thursday for the girls, Friday for the guys, Saturday is, this and that. It's like your life is being involved around church. And there's nothing, I'm not saying there's anything wrong about that, but it's like you had that influence. They like this, and that. So then when you become a 22-year-old and you meet a different philosophical, like let's just say Islam, you meet somebody of that. And as soon as you hear them say something that Muhammad said, because Jesus didn't say, it's like, oh no, my heart is telling me that you're wrong.
It's Jesus.
And then the same thing. But then the same thing from the Muslim person, like, oh, you're talking about Jesus. No, my heart is telling me it's ain't nothing about your heart and feelings. No, you say my heart. God is telling me that you're wrong. Right. It's nothing God about that. It's you've been indoctrinated this entire time. Right. That this is the way that you need to be moving. So it's like now it feels like this outside thing is telling you this. Now, I'm not saying that people don't have outside things telling them things that are actually right, but it's just saying that like as soon as you're met with something that even slightly questions every single foundational piece that you've known that entire life, it becomes hard. And so like for me personally, so I went through, like I said, I was already for the most part, pretty conscious of being black, but like when I got in like college and some of that, I got blackity black. Like, I mean, I went deep in like, read books. I mean, but like seriously, like learning all about every single thing and really, I had the influence of family, my big brother Sherman, like PhD in it. So it's just like, it was like, it's drilled into me at that point, but it was drilled into me to a point of like, read for yourself. Read this and that. Yes. Read all these different perspectives. Explore. So then you start saying, okay, my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents were this, but then guess what? Where did they start discovering all this religion? They discovered it in the times where our people were enslaved. So it was used as a way of control. So then it's like, I'm having a whole different metamorphosis about it. So then it's like, I think one of the big things, okay, let me read it for myself. Because at this point, also, I'm just listening to preachers and pastors and watching Joel Osteen or T.D. Jakes on Sundays and just relying on their interpretation of this thing that I'm supposed to hold sacred and I'm supposed to hold dear, and this is my way and my belief, and I use it to judge other people.
But are you even holding it dear and sacred if you're not actually reading it and interpreting it yourself?
Didn't I say this is a process of me getting over socialization? You're correct. So then it's like, as I read it myself and stuff like that, then I started seeing a different type of value. And then I started seeing a different type of value of other people who've actually self-explored and this and that. Then it became like when somebody came to me over something that previous me wouldn't agree. And it's like, well, let me hear your interpretation. Then it became like, well, hey, let me actually go and read a little bit of the Quran. Let me read a little bit of the Torah. Let me read some Buddha. Let me see, and you start seeing, first of all, you start seeing similarities in all these teachings because there's a universal truth of like how to be a good person. Like, I don't think anybody ever said go killing people is a good person. Like, there's universal truth.
Depends on if you're Dexter.
Yeah, okay. No, Dexter. We'll get to the movie reference later. But it's just like there was this universal, like more so principle and truth. And you start saying that, like, dang, like, no, people around the world have dope philosophies. Like, when you limit yourself when it's just like, it's only my way. Like I say, your way very much so could work for you. There are 1.7 Christians in the world. And that works for 1.7 of them. But there's also 1.2 billion Muslims. And that works for them. And there's a beauty that we can have slightly different, similar philosophies. Right. And it can work for all of us.
Yes.
Like, there's so much beauty in that. And to me, it's like, for me personally, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but my socialization, I didn't see the beauty in that. So I judged other people based upon that. And I probably missed out on so many different experiences and so many great things that could have aided in my personal growth because of a socialization process that I didn't even understand and I wasn't even attempting to understand.
Another example of this that I think is pretty pervasive? The Pledge of Allegiance. Ooh. Right? So this may be offensive to some viewers. So I don't know. I remember like in elementary school or like kindergarten, you got taught the Pledge of Allegiance and you go through it, you say it a million times. And I mean, I can still say it in my head because I've heard it so many times. And you say it every day, hand over your heart, looking at the flag. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized that that was indoctrination because I didn't know why I was doing it. Anytime that you do not have your why for doing something, it's probably socialization or probably indoctrination. Now, I never really support indoctrination, really. But what I do support is finding your own reasons to say the Pledge of Allegiance. If that is something that like makes you feel how you need to feel as a person, then I fully support you doing that. I think you should do that. What I don't like is us forcing people to do something when they actually have no idea or understanding of what they're currently doing. Now, I would pledge allegiance to America at this point, but it's for my own reasons. It's not for whatever reasons I was doing it when I was 8 or 9 years old. It's for the reasons over 29 years that I've seen are worthy of pledging allegiance to and of making America great.
See, and the thing about it that makes our friendship really, really interesting is that I would not pledge allegiance to America, but I also don't hate you for pledging allegiance to America.
Yep.
Like that's the difference. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. I know you have reasons. On another conversation, I'll ask about those reasons, but it's like you have those reasons, you came to those reasons. There's no reason for me to like be mad at you because your reasons are different than mine. Which you'll probably ask the same thing for me. Why would you not play? I mean, well, then I'm gonna go into a whole history about a whole different things and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to convince you to not to leave your place. I'm not trying to indoctrinate you. You're not trying to indoctrinate me.
Right.
So, always interesting.
Always. Okay, so at the beginning, we said something about inner and outer socialization. Do you think we touched on that enough, or do you think that we should dive more into that? Because I remember you said that you think that inner socialization is harder to overcome than outer socialization. And I got you.
I got you. I got you. So I think so far, we're gonna let's transition into the next, like the movie
sounds
culture.
Good. Yeah, because we're running out of time.
Yeah. So the movie, so favorite part of the podcast, the movie, cultural television portion where we kind of find a way to relate the topic. So inner versus outer socialization. So I was kind of saying inner is more so like your personal influence. Outer is more so the surrounding society, media. So what is an example of inner and outer that you've seen in like a movie or a television show?
Okay.
I personally am going to go with the show Lucifer.
Okay.
I actually really enjoy that story, Lucifer. So Lucifer is literally about Lucifer running on Earth and different angels trying to get him back to hell because he's not in hell. And so things are just going haywire. And so one of the angels, his name is like a Mendadale, I believe. And he's like the top angel in heaven. And he's come on Earth and he actually has fallen in love with humans and the beauty that humans have and stuff like that. And he actually kind of like, he understands why Lucifer is the way that Lucifer is. And so, but like, again, from outward socialization, obviously this is a very big principle, but outward socialization, he was told that how humans are so beneath you. Now this and that, but then like now that you've spent time with them,
right? Like,
you spend time with them, now you see that you actually have more to relate to them. So to me, that's a hard thing to break because who have you been told that humans are beneath you? You've been told by other angels, by your family, because the other angels come back and they're like, your brothers and sisters are telling you that. So it's like, at that point, they're right. I mean, like I said, they are right because it's like your brother. Like if my big brother tells me something, he's right at a certain point. And it's like, that's a hard, because it's like, I've built up so much trust in him that I know he's done his research. Like he tells me some stuff all the time and I'd be like, but I'm like, you know what? He got a PhD. He's probably right. You know, I'm just going to I don't have enough knowledge, maybe I just kind of go with it. Which to a certain extent, you can argue that that's dangerous. But that's the trust that we give the people who are most personal to us.
Yes.
So, yeah, Lucifer. It's a great one.
Cool. I like it. Okay, ready for mine? I actually really like mine. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And then I found it and I was like, all right, I got it. There was like a moment when you were doing your stuff and I was like, yes,
you got it.
I got it. Anyways, Stargate SG-1.
Never seen it. Explain.
Okay, so Stargate SG-1 is about it's a sci-fi thing. It's the military finds a gate that is a wormhole, and they can like travel to other planets that are like millions of light years away, but in an instant. And they go and they're able to like find other worlds and explore and stuff like that. But they find a very powerful enemy to humans, and they're called the Goa'uld or something along those lines. I wouldn't blame anyone for not pronouncing that word right. But basically, they are parasites. They're like these little like kind of worm-like creatures that will like climb inside you and like literally attach like from your like cervical vertebra into your brain, and they like literally incorporate themselves into you to where you can't like kill the parasite without also killing the human. And they have these servants to them who are like literally bred to be servants to the Goa'uld, and they're called Jaffa. And one of these Jaffa is named Teal'c, and Teal'c ends up actually becoming a friend of this group of SG-1, and he goes against everything that he is socialized and indoctrinated to believe, and starts fighting the Goa'uld rather than actually serving them. And he's actually a very large part of responsible for the downfall of the god that he was serving, named Apophis. But these Jaffa, like throughout their lives, are literally indoctrinated. Like, okay, these are your gods. Like you have to serve them, and they like have these ideas of honor and all these incorporated in it, which the essence of that honor is probably similar to like what true honor is, but it's honor towards a belief that is less than true and that isn't serving you or the people that are around you. And luckily he had a teacher that kind of like clandestinely was telling him, or was getting him to doubt that these were gods, that they were false gods, and that they were actually controlling them, and that their people could be free if they broke away from them. And so he literally is an enemy to SG-1 when they first meet. Like he's imprisoning them. He's actually like choosing people like within their group to become a host and to have the parasite take over. But he literally goes against everything that his society is telling him to fight for his people, a people that don't even know they need to be fought for. Like it's to that degree. And honestly, maybe it could be said the same thing, that there are aspects within our humanity that need to be fought for, and we don't even know it, or at least the masses don't know it. And they really have to be dug down and teased out for us to really know exactly what we're fighting for and how to fight for it. And even Teal'c's family is calling him a traitor. Like, it's crazy how much that he went against. He's going against socialization. He's going against the people that are closest to him. They're calling him, like, they're saying that he betrayed them, that he's a traitor. And he's doing all this for them, and not only for them, but for the rest of his people, to actually be free and to free everyone, actually. So that's what that makes me think of.
Okay. So for our final segment of it, what did we learn about each other? So what did you learn about me today, buddy?
Oh God! All right.
You would think that we would be thinking about this a little bit as we're going on.
I never.
Every single time I'm like, oh, what did Blair say?
I gotta think back and remember.
Exactly.
Here.
But at least we're not premeditated. Like, at least we're not like trying to like, oh, he said this, so I'm gonna make sure I bring him at the end. No, it's just like,
it sounds like we're trying to murder each other.
Okay.
I learned that you wouldn't pledge allegiance. I think that's like something that's
really?
pretty powerful. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it before, and I would have assumed it, but this is like overtly like I have a clear answer. And I mean, it's honestly, it's like you said, it's something that I understand. And the funny thing is, we've shared a lot of our reasons for why we have certain beliefs or why we do certain things, and I feel like I probably know most of those reasons, and there's the reason why that we have a difference on that is because I'm just seeing it in a different way, and I'm fighting for some of those differences. So I just think it's interesting.
I believe I learned how much working out meant to you. Okay, that sounds weird. Because I should know because we started out.
Really?
Okay, there's a difference because like to me, like physically, you really haven't changed that much. You still have some of the biggest forearms of people like I've known. Like you know, you still have like some of the biggest like biceps that like I know. Okay, first off, baby, we going to talk. But so it's like it hasn't changed like that much to me. Like, but then I also know that just looking at me personally, I can see my personal changes so much more than everybody else can. So like I know that you personally have seen it, so all that
Right.
is a reflection of that. So I was like, oh man, like I didn't even really consider. I mean, yeah, maybe you might be a little bit smaller here, like it's very small, but to me, it's like it wasn't like a huge difference. Like oh, like Blair got he gained 40 pounds or anything like that. Like there was nothing that overt. Then I have to think about like even like I posted something on my story yesterday, and like people hit me up in my DMs. They were like, oh man, you looking so fit right now and stuff like that. I'm like, if y'all only knew that, it'd been about 3-4 weeks since I worked out. I've been drinking Simply Lemonade, eating chips, it's just ice cream at night and stuff like that. And like people just don't know. I ain't been working out, but like, oh, thank you for saying I'm looking fit because I don't feel fit.
Yeah. If I'm not gonna feel it, I at least need someone to tell me.
Exactly. So I didn't really because I didn't perceive that like it was such an effect on you mentally. Like like I said, obviously I knew about the knees and you not being able to be active, but like in terms of like might, like I don't know, like if you go do bicep curls, if it's lower than when it was beforehand, like I know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. We're the same boat. So we'll get there. 2021, new year. So.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so our final spill. Everyone, hit the like button.
Share us.
Comment. Rate. Peggy's favorite word. Rate us.
But most of all, listen to the podcast. Find the pieces in what we're saying that seems important to you or seems like something you can use to make your life better. Because that is the biggest reason why we're here.
Exactly.
Yep.
As always, I'm Enoch.
I'm Blair.
No, I'm Peggy this time.
I bought it. I was like,